order, agenda review and disposition.
Just under other business, if you can add audit engagement letter.
Great. So they did before. Does everyone want to look over the minutes for December 1st? Does anyone have any corrections or changes to those minutes? I did not see any. No, you good? Okay. All right, so a motion to accept the minutes of December 1st. Does someone want to make that?
I'll make that motion to accept the minutes from December 1st.
Second by Peter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. Super. Okay, superintendent's report.
So typically that's not on there, so my report will be for the budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, principal's report.
Here we go. Just first pass you out the copy of the audit meeting. Prepared, I'll give you a couple of minutes to peruse. You're welcome. On there, obviously, quarter two is coming to a close. I've included the midterm schedule. Hopefully we're in school for that. If we're not remote, I'll have to come back with Plan B for you on that. And as you can see, we came back on Monday. We were out for a remote for a whole week. It's safe. I mean, the kids that were engaged, and it's still a work in progress. Teachers worked extremely hard throughout the week. I will tell you this, that the schedule we use, the structured schedule we use, the staff loves it. I think a lot of the families do too. It's a structured schedule that's very similar to ours, exactly the same as ours. We struggled with first period, getting kids out of bed and onto their first period class. I will let you know we do take attendance all day. And we will, councils are constantly calling, the main office is calling at home as we monitor the progress if we are in doubt. So as you can see, my news, the winter sports started Monday. We are in full. I have a recommendation from the NHIA that we will wear a mask in all of our sports with the exception of gymnastics, which we don't have. Swimming.
Anyone doing gymnastics?
No.
Oh.
Swimming, we may have one student that will piggyback on another team. Diving, we have nobody. Indoor track is canceled in New Hampshire this year because of a lack of a proper facility to use. And the other sport that does not require the use of a mask is the spirit. Obviously, there's a danger in when they're throwing the student up in the air, they want to get caught. Wrestling was a long and involved process. I was on that meeting for many, many hours. Wrestling, they will wear a mask, both in practice and when they during the meets. Presently, right now, the majority of the schools are wrestling. We already have our 5 tournaments set. We're using our practice in the gym. The boys come in and there are no girls that have signed up this year. They have a 5 o'clock practice. It is early. We're using the gym, which is in full. Obviously in the afternoon, I've got unified basketball in there, and I've got boys and girls basketball. So it's in full use. The kids have been great. I ordered a ton of masks. They will wear a mask during practice. They will wear a mask during the games. And in regards to fans, Kyle, we made our decision. We are going to limit the amount of people during games, but we will make that announcement as we get closer to
For
opening. Indoor.
Sports.
Again, sports, the actual games themselves, they don't start till I want to say the 14th or the 15th of January. But there are a few schools that have canceled winter sports, but I say few. majority of the schools are in full. They are playing, and they all have certain, obviously, restrictions that they follow from their local boards of that. One piece I am going to ask the board for their approval of is in hockey and in skiing. If we've always had a policy that the kids do not take themselves to practice our games, but due to obviously the pandemic, we don't want a crowd of us or put kids in that situation. So I am going to ask the board if they would give me the okay on skiing and in hockey to get to practice. Keep in mind, hockey practices up in Waterville Valley, and the skiers also practice in Waterville Valley. We will provide transportation for those students who can't, but for those kids who can, I would like to be able to let them take their own car up to it, just the kid, and if a family wants to drive that student, just that family and that student, I would ask this board to approve that, both for hockey and for skiing. Other than that, we stay with our strict policy that we have. Madam Chair, I'm looking,
Okay,
discussion.
so, yes.
What is the schedule for hockey groups as far as, do they, I think initially when it first started, they were practicing 2 days a week over at Proctor and...
No longer. Proctor's not an option, either is Holderness Prep. Our only option is
So
Waterville Valley.
everyone's going to be Waterville?
Yes, Plymouth University is not an option either.
Right, well-
So you're right, Phil, when we first started, we had an arrangement with Proctor, we had an arrangement with Holderness Prep, and we had an arrangement with the college.
Okay,
So
so now,
Waterville Valley is our only option.
and how many days a week will they be practicing?
They prep pretty much every day.
Do they?
Yep, good group, good group. Remember, we co-op with Kearsarge on that.
Right.
Majority of our students are on the hockey team, are Plymouth Regional High School. And again, if they do not have the transportation, we do provide it. We have that within our contract with the busing.
So you'll only allow one student
Yes.
per car?
Yeah, they will not be going up in a group, no.
If they have siblings, they can go with
Yes.
them.
Yeah, okay.
And if
Yeah.
it's parents that are bringing them, that's fine.
But not parents of other parents of that. We're not gonna get into notes and all that piece.
So we will have to have written permission for both instances for the season, you know, if they can do that. It's, you know, something that most schools allow anyways, so at some point, maybe you want to talk about that in the future, not this year, but I think for the COVID purposes, for right now, just, we want to keep kids off the bus as much as possible. So,
Okay, so,
I'm looking for a motion on
you
that.
have a,
yes, Barbara?
What are the procedures when they get to Waterville to the rink?
for hockey,
Yes.
They're tested, well, again,
do they have to use the locker rooms? And
no, there's no locker room, they dress, yeah.
They dress in the parking lot.
Correct,
Masking.
right.
Is the temperature taken as they go in?
They follow our screening, which is a self-screener. So at home, they're self-screened in the morning, which temperature is part of that.
And we do the same in basketball here. We're asking the kids, we pretty much to stay in the locker rooms to come dressed. Basically, those who can't, obviously, we limit who can come in and come out.
Bill?
Whereas all the winter sports, with the exception probably of skiing, and I don't know how you classify hockey, but they're indoors. And whenever we've had cases in the past, if school was closed, there would be no practices. I don't think they'd practice if they were outside. What will happen with practices, or is it contingent upon the case?
It's contingent upon what happens. Like, so if it's sporadic and maybe the teams aren't affected, maybe they can still go. If we're short on staff, if I have to close for that reason, there's no reason sports can't continue.
Okay.
The only time it would really be a hard no is like last week when we had a cluster, then everything has to close per DHHS.
I coordinate with Kyla right away, Phil, if we have games or whatever, or if we have to practice out, I'll call Kyla.
And then we just talk about
Yeah,
each,
a walk
what the
through.
plan is and what it looks like and who's affected, and some may go, some may not.
Okay, so does someone want to make a motion that we will, well, let's make a motion. I don't want to put words in the mouth. Let's see.
what are the words?
So, yeah, so,
I'd like to make a motion to accept Bruce's proposal to allow students to transport themselves to sports practices such as hockey and skiing only,
Correct.
right?
Or
Okay,
parents.
or
Or parents.
parents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with written permission.
super, okay, with written permission. Who would like to second that? Walter, see Walter over there, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Further my report, Madam Chair, if you, tomorrow, we're looking forward to our virtual concert from the music department. Mr. Gunn and company have been working extremely hard to put this forward, and it looks like we're going to be a go. I've had the good fortune of seeing it, and it is wonderful. He's done a great job. So that's tomorrow, and we'll get that out. I know he's in coordination with the TV on that piece too. Guidance, you can see they've already getting the scholarship information back out for them. And then you have, obviously, the literary magazine. I know you like to see that. The two articles that were presented this month. And our quiz bowl continues to be successful. So that's the Bobcat beat for that piece. Tomorrow I'm also doing a Christmas dinner that's been carried over from Thanksgiving dinner. So hopefully we'll get tomorrow in and present the Christmas dinner for the full staff and students. We had a full faculty meeting today. We finally got back to work on our PLCs, professional learning communities. The meeting went extremely well. Teachers were upbeat again, but I want to commend the staff for being able to move into remote and to work as diligently as they do as we move through these uncertain times. Hopefully we get through till the end of the week and the 2 days into the holiday break. I can entertain questions if they want, and I already told you about the mask. Great. That's my report, Madam Chair.
And it's a half-day Tuesday?
No, full
It's
day.
a full day Tuesday?
Full day. They're off on Wednesday.
And the play is?
The play has been moved to the January 14th, 15th. I will get you information as we move closer to that.
Okay, great, super, thank you.
You all.
All right, committee reports, it's just our meeting dates, which is January 19th. Right, we don't have any minutes or anything.
No,
to
we
talk
just
about.
went, this was going to be our committee meeting.
Right, that's right, I'm all confused. School operations same night, okay. Discussion items, budget draft number 2.
So if you can take out this one pager that I sent around, Bruce and I went through every piece of the budget and worked creatively to come up with some cuts more significant than you even asked for. So I think we just kind of went through everything twice, 3 times to see what we can do. So I'd like to review those. We are recommending these to you because we are confident in having the funding there in a different place. So the first, I'll just go through the list of what we took out. The first one was line 112, so that we took out $25,000 for replacement computers. We are going to purchase those computers now through the CARES Act, which is the COVID Relief Act that we have, so we can put that into the grant. So we're going to purchase those now. Same with the next one, which is the document cameras, which is $2,130, so that can go through there. There's a couple staffing pieces when we re-looked at special education numbers and the identification rates and the significance of the disabilities in case management. We took out a 0.6, which really we put in this year as a result of the remote addition. So we had a special ed teacher that's worked remotely with the students that are in remote, so we don't need that for next year. So we're going to take out the 0.6. For that piece, so that's $36,887, that's just the salary. The other piece that we're going to take out are 2 aides, so that 1210 is $53,680, so that is one-to-one personnel that we don't need. Jumping down, we looked at account 1300, which is the CTE, the vocational wing. We can put the 1500 into the Perkins grant, so that's something that can be taken now. The contingency fund is the 1,000 that you usually have that you can put in there anyways for the warrant article. The other piece that we're allowed to put through CARES is the floor machine. Who knew? It's anything that cleans, we could put through the COVID relief. So we're buying that now through the CARES funding. The next big project, and I don't know if it was there, so we had a refund come through, there was a surplus at Health Trust with health benefits, so Pemmy Baker District is receiving close to $80,000, so I'd like to do the sewage project this year because we're very comfortable in paying for that now, so that took out a huge piece. We found that out a few days after our last meeting. So we can cover that now and take out the $83,000 in the sewage project in the North Wing. And then the last piece is the health and dental associated with the other reductions that were listed above. So overall, we reduced the budget by $260,855, which brought it to a 1.6 increase only. So that is even less than what you asked for. So I think we are very comfortable with that.
Absolutely.
So we'd like to recommend that is reflected in budget draft 2, as well as your assessment as well. So all those numbers, and we moved that piece over in revenue that we talked about last time as well. So
Questions?
I'm looking for, if you're comfortable approving budget 2, or any questions on the reductions before the hearing.
You said anything that has to do with cleaning because of COVID-19?
That is eligible for CARES, yes.
So I know we had a big proposal for things to clean, and was that a dishwasher or a washing machine?
Dishwasher doesn't qualify.
Doesn't qualify. I went down
That
road
we tried. We tried to finagle, that one didn't.
Are we getting a clothes washer? Do we need a clothes washer?
No, we have,
We have 8, we're good.
we have 8.
Just
We're
one.
good.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, I want to say thank you, that's fabulous.
that did a great
That's great.
Yeah.
It runs a tough life.
It makes our job a lot easier.
Okay, so we'll make this the final, yes, Barbara?
Another question, I'm sorry.
Yep.
So the three reductions reflected in the budget that you just handed to us tonight, and you said that brings us to a 1.6 increase. What would the total increase be, or what would the additional increase be if the warrant articles passed?
So there's one that hasn't been resolved yet, so the support staff is still negotiating, so we don't have a number for that. With the only other one we have at this point is the 1,000 for the contingency article, and then your support, or your teachers agreement, that was 100.
So if you have,
Yeah.
so if you have this sheet that says core budget estimate for next year, it was updated with the number that I have to do for draft 2. And at the very bottom, you see a estimated 2021 tax rate compared to this year's actual by town. The teacher's agreement, depending on the town, the teacher's agreement adds between 4 and 7 cents to that number of 2021 estimated tax rate. And then, obviously, I can't speak to the support staff agreement until one is, an agreement is ratified or agreed upon. But that's what I can tell you, is that the draft 2 plus the teachers would equal that number plus 4 to 7 cents depending on the town.
Thank you.
So do we want to, does someone want to make a motion to,
I'll make a motion that we pass the budget number 2 up to the budget hearing, scheduled for January 5th.
seconded by Bernie? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstaining. Everybody's good, great. And,
When is the budget hearing?
So the budget hearing is the 5th at 6:30. So I was just going to talk briefly about that. If we can meet prior to the budget hearing,
Usually do.
hope to maybe look at the support, adding the support staff warrant article into that and ratifying that, we have that, to bring forth to the budget hearing right afterwards.
Okay, and, right, that's we're back. We would meet at 5, and we always talked about that being too early. Is 5:30 okay? Or do you-
That's plenty of time, I was gonna
Okay.
say 6, but.
6, okay.
Because all we have to do, we have the budget, I'll set everything up, and you would just talk about the support staff agreement would be the only thing we would add to it.
Okay. And any
Sorry.
other business that needs to take place that night, or just the budget hearing?
No, I would just stick to that, just
Okay.
budget hearing prep and the
Okay.
support staff agreement if we have it,
Okay,
so.
super. So 6 o'clock, January 5th. Is that all? Everybody's good with that?
Did you say January 5 or 6?
5, Tuesday, January 5th. I'll remind you.
Typically, I don't know how many public typically come to that meeting. We're gonna have it in the cafeteria distance, we won't have it here. And at some point, you know, I think there will be plenty of room to set that up. And if it gets too crowded, we could always move it into the auditorium, but just wanted to put an A and B out there. Okay?
Super. And Roger, are you comfortable with presenting this budget that evening?
Yes, I will be comfortable presenting the budget then.
Okay, so we will, thank you so much for doing that. Appreciate that. Okay. Board member concerns? Oh, no, other business. Did we say?
I just have one,
Right, sorry.
one other thing.
Okay.
Just your draft warrant articles right there that reflect, just if you want to take, there's no surprises in there. It's the operating budget, it's the teachers agreement, and we'll add the support staff if we need to. Okay?
Great. Board member concerns, privilege of the floor. A motion to go into non-public for,
Personnel.
We just had one thing under other business.
Okay.
The audit engagement letter.
okay.
Go ahead, Dan.
So for a large number of years, the audit firm, the Grislecki Company, was the auditor for the district. Last year, the primary auditor from that firm that was handling our account actually bought the firm, and Steve Grislecki retired. The firm is now called Reversion Company. The prior engagement, which was a 4-year contract, expires with the audit continuing right now for the previous year. They did give us a proposal for the following 3 years. The price is $500 more than it's been for the last 4 years. It's consistent at $8,000 per year for the next 4 years. I would like, we have a very good working relationship with them. They're thorough, they're fair, they don't put us through the torture that some auditors put certain people through, as I've been through personally myself, and I would ask that you consider approving this audit engagement letter for the next 3 years with Robertson Company.
Any questions for Dan?
No, I was going to say,
Okay. Peter, do you
move it
want
down.
to?
What he said.
Thank you, Peter, I appreciate
You're
the
welcome.
support.
So the motion is
To accept the contract for the next 4 years from a Burge accounting firm, PBC or PCC or whatever it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Super, seconded by
I'll second.
Roger. All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstaining, opposed. Super. Okay, and so now I need a motion to go into non-public for personnel. Who would want to move that? Okay, Jill, seconded by Roger. Maureen. Okay, Maureen. All those, roll call.